Hi everyone. So apparently we're doing this reading a little bit differently. I'm moving my cards around, and I had a stack of cards fall out of this deck, and I had one card fall out of my Prisma Visions deck. Mirror Visions. So I'm reading from those. So we're not tuning in, we're already tuned in, and we're just going to go. We're going to go. So the first card that came out is a card that's called the Life. The Oracle side is called the Life map. So someone here, it's like we're taking stock of our life in some way. We're taking stock of ourself and what we have been manifesting in our life. It's almost like, why does this keep happening, right? It's that sort of feeling. And it does feel, because there's a lot of orange in this card, it does feel like it has to do with either anger or some sort of behavior that keeps manifesting for us inside of our life. It's like we're recognizing different connection points where this happens, different interactions where this happens, and we're trying to get to the root of this energy of why this actually happens. And we may not be able to. Okay. Being told to take this stack. There's some confusion regarding it. It's very confused. All the symbols on this are just kind of gibberish to me right now. And I normally don't interpret it that way, but that's how it's coming to me right now. So I'm also seeing something that almost looks like Mercury. So this may be very mental. So this is about telepathy, emotions, so empathy and telepathy. There's some things going on here in regards to that. Okay, so somebody here, you're stepping into a space where you're really trying to take responsibility for yourself. You're really trying to take responsibility for a particular pattern or behavior that keeps happening. And you may be a little confused about where that's coming from, but this is part of your self-sovereignty journey. There may have been an ending recently. The number on this card is 10, right there. And 10 is always indicative of an ending that is creating a new beginning. Part of your new beginning is this deeper level of self-awareness. And this is what this reading is trying to say. For people, it's trying to bring forward information to help us become more self-aware. Now, I want to say with this reading, because of that, some of this is not going to be confirmation. Some of this is going to be some new information. Please do not take the information of this reading to dismiss personal responsibility, right? See if this is true for you before you adopt all the messages inside of this reading. Because whenever it's about handing knowledge or handing information that we didn't previously know, we need to be discerning, right? In the tarot community, we get very caught up in taking messages as ours, and then we find 5 years later that we're still in the same place. So definitely allow yourself to be discerning in this reading. I'm feeling very much my psychic empathy opening. So this is definitely about psychic empathy and telepathy. So if you resonate as a psychic empath, this reading is going to be for you. If you know that you take on other people's emotions, if you know that you're able to intuitively tell what other people are feeling or thinking, this is probably going to be for you. Okay. Here we have the Queen of Swords, and this Queen of Swords, again, she's definitely thinking over something with that intellect there, that very Mercurian sort of energy. And she's got this butterfly crown. She's got the butterfly crown. So her thoughts are transforming. She's having perspective changes. Her mind is trying to transform about different things. She's having different insights, but this cloud cloak is around her. Something's still just a little hidden from her. And this has to do with anger again. As I said, anger. We have the Ace of Wands. Now, where does this anger come from? It seems to come out of nowhere. It seems to just all of a sudden appear, and it's growing. Okay, so you may have had a situation that recently ended where this anger was growing. Okay, I'm being told to take all the cards now. Okay, and we're not reading them in order apparently. Okay. So the message here is that if you are confused as a psychic empath, if you know that that's who you are, and you know that, again, running through it again, if you don't know what a psychic empath is, if you know that you take on other people's energy, if you know that you take on other people's emotions, if you know that, you're telepathically linked to others, this might provide an insight for you in where this anger is coming from, or where these negative patterns are coming from for you. Now, remember, you're on a self-sovereignty journey, so we're not going to place that responsibility on another person, but this is about understanding who you are, how you operate, how you're influenced, and what's your responsibility, right, as that individual. So, with that being said, there are emotions that are being given to you, not on purpose. That's not how this is, and they're filling your cup. So, for example, if this is about a friend or a partner or a family member, and you notice that inside of conversations you go from 0 to 10, right? And you can't figure out why. You can't figure out why that keeps happening with this person. Ask yourself, is that person afraid of you? Is that person afraid to speak to you? Is that person afraid that you're just going to get angry? Because what's happening is there's a telepathic link between the two of you, and your subconscious knows that, and it's responding to that, right? A good example, this thing that you're trying to get to the root of, the reason why it seems like gibberish inside this card, and the reason why there's no clear answer, is because you're simply picking up on the fears of the other person. And the fears of this other person, they may be resultant from trauma, they may be resultant from your past behavior or things that you say. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because this wand is sitting next to the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is cutting. Right? She can be a very cutting person, and she doesn't realize that she's cutting because that sword isn't stabbing her. The sword is stabbing all the people that she's inviting to come up to her, right? They're the ones that get stabbed by that sword. So, that may be something to look at. There is our use of our words, how our words affect other people, if it might be instilling some fear inside of someone, or the way that we present ourselves might even be instilling some fear inside of somebody. A good example of that is, for example, people who are used to people leaving. If you're the type of person where you have very strong boundaries, and you're very clear that you have very strong boundaries and you're not afraid to let people go, that might make somebody who's used to being abandoned afraid of you, right? Afraid to speak, afraid to approach you. So that may be part of what elicits those emotions. As a psychic empath, when you take your understanding of your psychic empathy away from the obvious and you start reading between the lines a little bit more, you'll understand exactly how deeply that runs. You'll understand exactly how deeply, in some situations, your life is actually hijacked by your responses to other people's emotions, right? Because this is what I'm seeing. It's a deeper response to another person's emotion. And this is what we're in a period right now where we're learning to have control over it, right here with the Strength card. So understanding how to tame that subconscious response, or that subconscious amplification of another person's energy. For some of you, the reason why this anger is coming about is because you're constantly dealing with situations where there's anger around, right? It can go both ways. It can be a response, or it can be the absorption of energy that's amplified so that we can see it. Here what we have is we have the Devil. This is definitely something that we haven't had control over because we haven't seen it. Someone is trying to take control of that energy. They just may not have previously understood where it was coming from. And here with the Queen of Pentacles, someone has kind of owned this as their own. And that's okay, right? Because we should own it as our own, because nobody else is responsible for those feelings. But understanding where they're coming from, and that it may not necessarily be rooted in the self, allows us to work with them better. And here with the Justice, this is key information for someone to find balance here. Now, when we understand what's taking place, it allows us to have self-awareness. And that self-awareness then allows us to say, hey, like, I understand this magnetization, this like amplification of something is taking place. And I don't necessarily have to react from this space, because this might not be what's really going on with me, right? This might not necessarily be true. And when we're able to look at those feelings that way, which we should always look at our feelings that way, right? Our feelings aren't necessarily facts. So allowing ourselves to see that is going to prevent us from creating situations in our life that are undesirable. And that's really the phase that somebody is in right now, is trying to take control of what they're manifesting inside of their reality. They're trying to take control of their own happiness. They're trying to take control of, why does this keep happening, and how do I get out of this cycle? For some of you, it keeps happening because of a moment in the story where the absorption of another person's energy is creating a response within us that we have to get control over, right? And so, let's see. The Self. There we go. There we go. And notice how that kind of mirrors this card here, right? It's all coming out of you. It's all generated from the Self. This, the interesting thing is that when a person has their heart open, especially, right? So maybe this, whatever ended, maybe it was a situation where your heart was really opened, right? Maybe it was really close friends, a really good like social circle. Maybe it was a love relationship. Maybe it was, any number of things. It could even be something that you're just truly passionate about. Whenever we have that heart space open about something, that's where we're really receiving information on an empathic level, right? It doesn't mean that your heart is necessarily open if you're a psychic empath. For example, the dark empath, right? But there is this energy that's going on where this heart space is starting to refine for somebody. It's trying to polish itself. I'm going to put it that way. It's trying to polish itself. And we've been having a lot of things happen this year with Venus in a lot of our stories. And so this makes sense, right? Deeper self-love, deeper love for others, forgiveness in areas where maybe we didn't want to forgive before, acceptance in places where we didn't want to accept before. And as we're putting out, so we're taking in. So if you are a psychic empath, this is a very important lesson at this time, is to understand the influence, right? What is actually yours and you, and what is actually someone else creating a response within you. And again, that's not their responsibility, it's yours, because it's your ability that you have to control. So there's various ways to look at this. Is it in response to another person's feeling, or is it the energy itself? Because those are the two things that psychic empaths really struggle with. And the response to is really going to be if you have a little bit more telepathy behind that psychic empathy, because some people haven't necessarily got that layer behind it as much. We're all telepathic beings, just not all of us are as influenced on that level. So when you can refine that, when you can recognize those things, that's when that all becomes a superpower. So, okay, let's see. One more from that deck, apparently. And here we go, the shaman. Many of you, that took a totally different direction, but it makes a lot of sense. So many of you here, and this is going to resonate. God, I love it. It's like, yeah, we're going to give you this little information and then bam! Many of you, your soul signature is really to step up into this energy, the shaman energy. Music may be important for you. Dance may be important for you. If those two are true and you're a psychic empath, then if this is true for you, then what you're going to notice is that you're also aware of spirits, right? You know when something's in your home. You are able to like just get intuitive hits about things. You understand exactly what's going on with people. There's this sort of calling. Man, it just went right there. There's this sort of calling that I'm seeing, and it's funny because it's pointing at it too at me now. It's this line right here. We started off here, and it's like whoop, pointing at the shaman card over here. It's this life map. You're on a trajectory here where you're in a very important part of your particular soul signature journey to understand exactly your magic, what's going on, right? What's going on inside of you? Because again, this is the superpower. I feel you, I know you, I see you, I see how you're interacting with me on an energetic level. This shows me how you're feeling, right? Like if I feel an aversion to like getting close to you, maybe you have a problem with like feeling like nobody loves you, right? If there's the telepathy there, or maybe I just want so badly to like love you, but it's because you have an aversion to love. You want somebody to love you so much because you don't love yourself. And maybe I should not feel this way so much about this person because they have self-love issues, right? This is that superpower of the shaman. This is what helps you really see what you're dealing with. And this is another way that you can actually change your interactions in the world to change what you receive, right? So someone here, this is a shamanic lesson. We don't have a whole lot of those rolling through here. Very occasionally I'll get readings for people who are on the shaman's path, but this is for a true shaman having a lesson right now. And you may not even resonate with this. You may not be like, oh yeah, I'm a shaman. That may have never occurred to you, but this is saying that if this is resonating with you, there is something here for you. right? It doesn't mean that you have to step up into that label, step up into that role, but it may be something worth looking into so that you can understand the other abilities that you have, and maybe even what your function is supposed to be, or your role, or where you would be happiest. So whoever this message is for, this is a really big lesson that's coming through here. This is a huge opening up of a new box of self-awareness that I promise you is very gratifying once you can understand these things and isolate these things and understand the depth to which we influence each other as human beings. So whoever's message this is, I wish you the best of luck with this, and until next time.